The intentionality of understanding suffering is to understand why you do what it is that you do, right? Because we don't want to just be in a position where we're waking up for the sake of waking up and to say we wake up early and to do it and to say we do it, because that's too surface level. It's external, it's outside of ourselves. But to understand the point of suffering is to understand the point of like why we speak things into existence. So for example, if we say I'm gonna wake up early, this is an action that we want to take versus I'm the type of person who just wakes up early. That's an identity shift. And it's to start to see things from that perspective that I am, right? So everything that we intend to do should start with I am. The I am statement helps us understand that it's not an action that we have to take or more that we have to do. It's a presence we already have within us. We just have to master it at a different level. So when I wake up, right? So today, my body just woke up at 2:59 a.m. You know, that's just what happened. And so my brain was like, okay, we're up. There was no, oh my gosh, it's 3 a.m. because the time doesn't matter. It doesn't register. It's who I am in that moment, that it's natural. It's normal for me to wake up at that time. That's when the identity comes in. So I've transmuted suffering, which is my perspective of what this thing is supposed to mean versus who I already am. And so the process of self-mastery, which is probably where you're at right now, is understanding that everything that you do, bro, it's I wouldn't even use the word suffering. To understand you're sacrificing the things that most people never will. Most people never will even understand the purpose of sacrifice. The purpose of sacrifice is to see what does your word actually mean to you? What meaning can you actually give it? Like when you sacrifice something, when you sacrifice your comfort zone, when you allow the mind not to control you, when you allow the body not to control you, and you sacrifice everything, your comfort, when you wake up early, you sacrifice sleep, you sacrifice these things, you start connecting to yourself at a more spiritual level. And over time, through constant repetition, because that's what it's going to take, again, guys, the overarching thing and concept is time. It's not to rush this process, it's to deeply understand the process, because this is self-mastery. As you continue the process of understanding self into sacrifice, what happens is you start to understand that the spiritual being that's inside of you, which is what we all have, right? When we think about my heart, my hand, my mind, my thoughts, who is my? That's the biggest question we can always ask ourselves. Well, who is my? Who am I referring to if not myself? Well, if myself is some other thing that's not this body and it's not this mind, then I must understand that there's something more powerful than this thing that I'm telling myself that I am. So what am I? Who am I? What does that mean to me? Now what we do is, instead of thinking about business or these metrics or the short-term gratification, we start asking ourselves much deeper questions. What am I? Who am I? What is my purpose on this planet? If I have this one life to live, what am I supposed to do during this time? Who am I supposed to become? When we start asking ourselves those deeper questions and we sit with that, then the depth of our soul starts to come out, because now we're just like, man, I don't know what this is. I don't even understand why I'm thinking this way. I don't even know why my brain is orienting me to go this way. I don't even know why I'm walking in this direction, but something is calling me now. Right? And you are in the process, because I know this, because I can sense it, you're being called to something and you don't know what it is. The purpose is not to logically understand it, though. To sacrifice is to also sacrifice knowing, because that's the logical mind. That's the human mind saying, hey, I need to know logically where the fuck we're going because I need to be safe. The whole point of faith, bro, the whole point of surrender, sacrifice, and suffering is to say, I'm going to sacrifice my comfort, which is knowing what the hell this is and what's going on. And I'm just going to walk this path that's illuminating in front of me, not knowing where it's even leading to. I have to sacrifice my comfort zone because it's very uncomfortable to take the next step, not knowing if I'm going in the right direction or not, and simply follow then a calling or a feeling. Does that make sense? And what's going to happen, bro, as you continue to sacrifice your comfort zone, right? Because that's just the first step. This is vast, bro. Like, I can talk about this shit literally for probably the next year straight, and I still won't even be past the tip of the iceberg. The depth in which this can go is crazy. So let me just, because we have a little bit more time here, as you start to sacrifice your comfort zone, the next part that I want all of you to be prepared for is for what happens next. Because once we start taking that step forward in faith and we start to say, okay, I don't know what's calling to me, and I definitely can't see anything past this next step, but I feel called to it. I'm learning that there's some truth behind going this direction, because every step that I take, even though it's uncomfortable, I'm starting to feel happier. I'm starting to feel more aligned with myself. The universe is starting to shift things in my life for my favor, and I can see it now. What's going to happen is then the mind is going to start playing tricks on you again. The subconscious is going to kick in. It's going to try to protect you. Then you're going to start getting sick. Then you're going to get into accidents. Then somebody's going to screw you over. Then you're going to have some financial hardship. Then this other thing's going to fucking happen. And all of it is designed to confuse you, to sway you, to go backwards, to get off the path, to test how much faith you have in what you say you're doing and what you're doing it for. And that is the space a lot of you are going to spend the most time in, because you're going to have to then battle all of these different subconscious blocks, again, that come from our upbringing, and learn to master each one individually before you can even take the next step. It's not possible to illuminate the path when all of these things still make you doubt and fear. Now, over time, again, the pattern is time. Through intentional time and effort to do this and to master this, when you take the next step, you can do so even if you haven't fully healed some of these subconscious blocks. But what happens, again, every time you go deeper into yourself, new subconscious blocks will occur, which is now, bless you, well, I'm moving forward. I've taken steps. Some things are starting to get better in my life, but all of these bad things I still haven't been able to heal through. Or I still feel this way about this situation. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this one little thing that should be a process of healing into a problem. And then you guys are going to get stuck at that step until you learn. The lesson that life, God, the universe is trying to teach you, that there is no problem. That is the subconscious saying, I'm trying to protect you and hold you back from this space you've never been. And you guys got to get good with learning how to master that voice. That's not even you. And then this is where the meditation, this is where the prayer, this is where the deep spiritual aspect of self-actualization comes from. Because now what I do, I get on my hands and knees and I pray, I meditate, I go even deeper into myself and say, I have all of this fear, I have all of this doubt, and I don't know what it is, but I'm going to account for it. I'm going to acknowledge it. I'm going to know that it's here, and I'm going to throw it out and into the world. I'm not going to burn it or anything like that. I'm going to throw it out into the world and just know that it's not even scary. It's not a thing. It's not going to hurt me. It's not going to harm me. It's part of this process that I'm actually going in the right direction. The more that I fear it, the more direction I'm going. Because if I didn't fear it, then I've already been there. And again, bro, like every time you go deeper, you're going to feel like you're suffocating even more. But the feeling of suffocation is coming from the self-mastery that's happening, because it's so scary to really be yourself. It's so scary to really live freely. It's so scary to have a life that most people never have, nor will they ever, because the fucking path you have to take is the scariest path. Does that make sense? Oh yeah, bro. Again, like that's just step 1, 2, and 3. We can keep going, but to stay in this space and to understand this space is to learn to appreciate this space. And by appreciating this and finding gratitude in these lessons that we're learning on a daily basis, and the fact that we're even geeking out and wanting to learn about these things about ourselves, when have we ever had this relationship with ourselves where we're so important to us that we want to get past this? When have we ever taken ourselves that serious? Isn't that showing us how much we love ourselves and how much we truly believe in ourselves? That we're taking the time to feel frustrated that we're not breaking through yet? Isn't that actually goodness? It doesn't have to be a bad thing, but we have to start to shift our perspective in our mind so that way it does serve us. All right. I'm going to leave it at that because, again, bro, I can talk about this shit for days. Push yourself past your comfort zone so that way by the next week, we can go even deeper into self. That's the best way to utilize these, is to make sure that when I press you guys to think and operate different in between each session, you're going deep and you're trying to find the next roadblock within yourself so we can then unpack it on the next call. And the speed in which you guys do that work is the speed in which you will grow and heal and to ultimately evolve inside of your business as well, because our businesses are just a reflection of what's happening inside of us. All right. So with that being said, guys, do the work this week and we'll catch up next week. All right, guys, crush it. Peace.